Oh my gosh, yo. No tech, no team, no talent inside. Everybody run away from Reneme's mind. As I grab onto the mic and articulate the future. DKG coming to your life like a suitor. OT team dropping bombs like a military. Putting V-chain in the nearest cemetery. Preliminary hearings, I'm hearing my name calling. Preliminary pumping, I'm feeling a pump coming. They say famous, famous. When you gonna drop our next video? Got me sitting. Hello, my beautiful, sexy, amazing OriginTrail family. How are you guys doing today? Today, we're gonna be covering the bombshells that was dropped last week. You know, it's kind of crazy what we are witnessing in front of our eyes. So I hope we're ready to digest a little bit further the details that has been released. But again, of course, you know, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. What are you doing? Come on, man. So today we're going to be talking about SCAN, the trusted factory network that is currently leveraging the OriginTrail decentralized network. We're going to be talking about the future of this program because, I mean, let's all agree that it's already been covered extensively on this channel, and we've already extensively reviewed the SCAN factory network. So I think we can just dive into the future use cases and of course review a couple of things. I guess we can talk about a couple of things that had been discussed at the event. So for example, let's take a look at this slide here. We already know that SCAN has some of the largest folks in their network, you know, Walmart, Target, Home Depot. Actually, we finally heard Home Depot discussing their partnership with OriginTrail and BSI and how excited they are.
Let me just say that it's been kind enough to partner with BSI and OriginTrail to really take a circumstance where competitors in the marketplace are able to utilize technology to provide value-added services to their individual organizations while maintaining the integrity of their own proprietary data. And it's really something that if you'd asked me 35 years ago as a young practitioner in supply chain that I would be at the time sharing manufacturing and supply chain details with Procter & Gamble working for Colgate-Palmolive, I would have laughed. We were, you know, dead against each other with regard to the competitive landscape and would not have even dreamed of that.
So we already knew as a community that these 22,000 factories were on the OriginTrail decentralized network. At the time, I think it was like 18,000. So clearly they have grown actually since we saw it in the white paper, I believe. In the white paper, I think it was 18,000 factories. Now it's 22. And we also see that they have like $1.4 trillion in sales among these members. So that's quite a bit of value, retail value. So we always wondered as a community, will this $1.4 trillion be on the OriginTrail decentralized network? Well, we have officially got confirmation that yes, the end goal of this solution is to have an end-to-end product flow leveraging the OriginTrail decentralized network, which allows for regulatory bodies to then look to see the full provenance of their product, full traceability. Where did this product come from? Dates, times, temperatures throughout shipment in the supply chain. This is totally the biggest news, the piece of adoption news in crypto to date, in crypto history. We are talking about not just bagging Home Depot, it's Walmart, Target, JCPenney, Home Depot, all of them in one. Oh my God! So that amount of value being brought into the OriginTrail decentralized network over time. Let's listen to Ken McElroy talk about the evolution of this particular solution. And of course, I will have, you know, Ken McElroy works at Home Depot. Enjoy.
And where we're trying to take this going forward is really to say, Dan highlighted it a little bit before, we're trying to take this to the point where we can create a end-to-end data flow, a verifiable trace of where a product starts in the supply chain at manufacture to where it lands at destination, ultimately to the retail shelf, so that anyone can take a verifiable UPC scannable detail and say, okay, this product came from point A to point B through this, and this network, or this, and this interchange, without any tampering or whatever. So that's really the innovation that Dan was kind of highlighting before. For the consumers need to understand that there is that product integrity from end to end.
For now, today, we know that the Scan Trusted Factory Network, as Ken is displaying here, the plan is to have these certified auditors performing these audits on these different factory networks, putting it into SCM. Now, we will get back to this SCM thing because it's no longer SCM. And the OriginTrail Decentralized Network digests all this information and spits out 10 key audit points for these government regulatory agencies to view. So the Scan Trusted Factory Network is seeing massive adoption, and the fact that we're looking to bring full product visibility throughout the global supply chain, what we are doing here is building the infrastructure for the future, the next couple decades to come. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-great-great-grandchildren will see the benefits. Frictionless international trade in their time to come, when they are able to gain access to all the things that they need with such ease, such grace, all because of the work that we are doing here today. Revolutionary, guys. Congratulations to the team. Congratulations to this OriginTrail community. And I think that we can keep this thing pushing. But you know, that was not the only bombshell dropped. We also got a bit more information on the Trusted Bytes program. So we will, of course, put our detective caps on, get our research understanding cap on, and get to studying. So let's dive into Trusted Bytes and see what there is to know about this particular implementation. Now, in this article it says, and this article was released on the 12th of April 2021, it says Trusted Bytes project to facilitate flow of goods across international borders. Again, on theme with what we're trying to present at OriginTrail. The world's first trust framework for the full food supply chain system is to be deployed by a collaborative project funded by Innovate UK. The 2.8 million Trusted Bytes project will use novel digital technology that connects the supply chain with the central government and other critical partners to help facilitate the flow of goods across international borders and drive productivity within the UK food economy. Now, we know that BSI is currently spearheading, or at least at the forefront of this implementation, as they won this Trusted Bytes Innovate UK grant, or I guess fund. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to something here. It says the world's first trust framework. Now, does that sound familiar to you guys? Because on this channel, we spoke about the FSA implementing digital trust, which will help guide the billions of products that go through their economy. Do you guys remember that video? And I said they're looking at the Trusted Bytes program to be used as a model for data trust in all of UK. let's jump back to that real quick. And this one I really want you to pay attention to. Many of the rules about storing and processing data still needs to be decided. So what we're seeing here is the UK rebuilding its infrastructure from the ground up, even at the data sharing level. Now, the Food Standard Agency is a very important body as it relates to the UK's food supply chains. Who do they have to answer to? Who looks into food crimes? Who handles these? Well, the FSA is an independent organization that kind of tackles these issues. Let's listen to the FSA explain what the FSA does.
Here at the Food Standards Agency, we believe that everybody should be able to trust the food that they eat, and we work to keep it that way. The FSA is an independent government department, and we work across England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Being independent is really important. It means that there isn't a minister or a politician in charge of us telling us what to do. We have an independent board.
It means that there isn't a minister or a politician in charge of us telling us what to do. We have an independent board.
And because we're outside the politics, that makes it easier for us to operate just on the basis of sound science and evidence. And that's what we do. The Food Standards Agency's entire purpose is to protect public health, to make sure that food's safe and that it's what it says it is. And we put your health and your interests at the heart of everything that we do. Now, the good news is that we've got globally respected food standards here, and food and drink sold in this country is regarded as some of the safest food and drink in the world. In fact, when you think about it, there's more than 1 billion food products sold here every week.
There's more than 1 billion food products sold here every week. There's more than 1 billion.
And it's a tiny handful that aren't safe.
The portion of the paper that speaks about the future, literally, it says the way forward. The goal that we envisage is an intelligent, decentralized food supply chain driven by the secure exchange and sharing of information. These are their flagship projects, I would say. They're the premier projects that will take their country and make it a standalone defense or sovereign nation that can handle all of its own local needs for data, trade, and all of that. So let's continue to read. We suggest that a small-scale trial would provide insights into these ideas. This could complement projects such as the Blue Ring Trial, being undertaken as part of the Innovate UK funded Trusted Bytes project. So in the end of this food safety report released by FISA, by the FSA, they talked a little bit more about Trusted Bytes, and actually they gave an idea as to the scope of Trusted Bytes. How big is Trusted Bytes relative to what's taking place in the UK? It says, we see a roadmap to a food data trust composed of many related initiatives in the form of smaller projects, case studies. So case studies are the smaller projects that will develop and demonstrate the different elements of the data sharing protocol. And I would like to say, it says, that will develop and demonstrate the different elements of the data sharing protocol. So let's read that first sentence again. We see a roadmap to a food data trust composed of many related initiatives in the form of smaller projects that will develop and demonstrate the different elements of the data sharing protocol. So all these different government projects, all these different innovative things that we see these governments doing, whatever they're doing, it actually is all connected to show one thing. Can this data protocol support our needs? Is it going to get us the results that we require? It says these will range from the Innovate UK funded Trusted Bytes project, funded to address some of these issues in the context of transnational trade in food products. So this is talking about the UK's interaction with other nations. Whatever this Trusted Bytes project is, it's the center. It's solving the center of their cross-border needs. And it goes on to says, to smaller pilot studies, such as those supported directly by partners, including the FSA. So the FSA themselves are considering themselves small relative to the scope of what the Trusted Byte project is supposed to be bringing. But for now, you've just been hearing me say OriginTrail is being leveraged in the Trusted Bytes program. Well, for all we knew, at the time, that's all we knew. But last week, Dan Pertel, the Director of Innovation at BSI, decided to dive into the topic of Trusted Bytes and what exactly this software solution is trying to facilitate. Well, we got more details, and there are a couple of things that we're going to need to understand before we dive into what this really is. You're going to need to understand what an AOE is and what exactly the HMRC is. So let's begin. Authorized Economic Operator. Different countries have different versions of this program. In the United States, it's called the Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism, CTPAT. So here are the benefits of being considered low risk by customs authorities, which should result in fewer border delays due to examinations, faster access to the border and business resumption benefits in the event of border disruption. This results in time savings, less risk of spoiled perishable goods, and a more predictable border experience overall. I would add to this list that it actually increases your competitive advantage, because for every moment you can have products being sold that your competitor does not, you're in a competitive advantage. So reduce the risk of potential tampering to their shipment. This builds confidence with customs and border authorities and enhances a company's reputation and marketability. So you gain a sign of respect. And as Dan Pertel was saying, the Scan Factory Network program had become so popular that people started faking factories, entities, organizations started faking their Scan membership in order to gain these additional benefits. So OriginTrail basically stomped that out immediately, because now they can verify all of the certificates and credentials on the blockchain via the OriginTrail decentralized network by issuing these verifiable credentials. So this itself is pretty revolutionary based on how countries work today. Today, what we have done with Scan is literally already groundbreaking and state of the art. So congratulations to us on that. So now we're seeing how this is actually being expanded to the UK, and now Her Majesty and her government is adopting the OriginTrail decentralized network. Let's see how. So now that you understand AOEs, we can now talk about HMRC, Her Majesty's and Revenues Custom. Now, the HMRC is a non-ministerial department of the UK government responsible for the collection of taxes, the payment of some forms of state support, the administration of other regulatory regimes, including the national minimum wage and the issuance of national insurance numbers. When we look at Dan Patel's slide from Trusted Bytes, we're going to read what he says these roles are, but of course the slide is a little bit blurry, so bear in mind we're just going to make do with what we've got. All right, it says, as an AOE client, I want to have an easy and secure way to provide all my AOE compliance data to HMRC, so that my AOE certification process is as fast and efficient as possible. Now, the HMRC says, as an HMRC risk analyst, I want to easily query for trusted, structured, and verifiable AOE compliance data on AOE applicants, so that I can carry out the AOE certification process more efficiently and with less resources. So we can see how this Trusted Bytes solution is bringing great benefit to AOE entities and regulatory entities, because now these companies, these institutions, organizations have an easy way to just onboard their compliance data, boop, 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 and it's easily accessible by regulatory bodies. And you know what? Ken himself from Home Depot had a statement to make on how revolutionary this is. Let's listen to Ken.
Okay, just let me say this before we move on. I think that the opportunity that we presented from a trusted trader perspective with regulatory agencies is a complete and total paradigm shift potentially in supply chain security. the ability to have regulatory agencies take data that is generated and gathered and marry it up with their own internal intelligence to do things like security targeting could effectively change supply chain security going forward and take us into the next several decades going forward. Thanks for your time, and I'll wait for our discussion.
All right, so before we let Dan take the floor and explain exactly what the UK is trying to do, let's dive into the 2025 border strategy. And of course, we're going to be seeing some content here from Her Majesty's government. Now, in this particular paper, what we're going to be looking at are the 6 transformation points that they wish to excel at before 2025. These are the things that they wish to come to life. Now, as we read this, it's going to start connecting a lot of things that we have already discussed, but we're only going to be focused on 1, 2, and 6 for now. You guys can head in here and do some deep diving on your own. Now, number 1 says develop a coordinated user-centric government approach to border design and delivery, which works with industry, which works in partnership with industry and enables border innovation. We're seeing this taking place with BSI, as BSI are currently the ones building out these platforms for Her Majesty's government to utilize. As we just saw, this is exactly what the Trusted Bytes program is being leveraged to build. Transformation number 2, bring together government's collection, assurance, and use of border data to provide a comprehensive and holistic view of data at the border. And we're going to dive into transformation step number 6. Transformation step number 6. Shape the future development of borders worldwide to promote the UK's interests and facilitate end-to-end trade and travel. Of course, once again, in line with what the UK is trying to accomplish via the Trusted Bytes program. This is their transnational trade program. Now let's take a read in the first joint ministerial forward. It says, as the United Kingdom prepares to become a sovereign nation once more, the events of 2020 prove how important it is that our border is as efficient, smart, and responsive as possible, primed to flex to changing circumstances. Long-term global shifts in how people and goods move across international borders have been suddenly upended and by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the world economy. It is critical that our border makes the fullest use of advances in technology to manage changes in flow in order to keep the UK safe and prosperous, while continuing to protect people, animal, and environment. If we head back over to this article quickly, the world's first trust framework for the full food supply chain system is to be developed by a collaborative project funded by Innovate UK. The Trusted Bytes project will use novel digital technology that connects supply chain data, that connects the supply chain with the central government and other critical partners to facilitate the flow of goods across international borders and drive productivity within the UK food economy. So let's listen to Dan as he explains the power and impact and reach of the Trusted Bytes program.
Reaches a certain level of popularity to where then it's attractive to criminal elements, counterfeiters, to actually go ahead and come forth. And I think we've all probably been on an airplane at one point or another when somebody comes on with a $3,000 Louis Vuitton roller bag, and you look at them and you say they really don't have the financial means probably to be traveling with that kind of luxury. And while it's a trademark that you've reached some level of success, I would describe that scans actually hit that. It's such a popular program now overseas that we have companies actually photoshopping reports and trying to convince, some of the biggest retailers in the world, such as Ken's company, Home Depot, that they carry the credentials necessary for you to go ahead and to make a purchase order. And it took investigations for us actually to be able to prove whether or not somebody had the credentials, a factory had the credentials that they claim to have. We can instantly do that now with the Scan blockchain solution powered by OriginTrail Trace Labs. And it's quickly becoming a best practice within our association. And a lot of fun doing it. And I'd also say, and maybe Ken can talk about this a little bit later, but I think what we have with the decentralized knowledge graph is the proper plumbing to open up to other ecosystems down the road. And it's going to be quite easy to do that. So the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Customs, and other associations we're currently in discussions with to where we can provide those 10 blockchain components from a factory audit and share that openly to be a deeper trusted provider. So moving on to the next use case quickly that we'll go over is something called Trusted Bytes. This was a OriginTrail Trace Labs in BSI win from an Innovate UK solicitation that we had earlier in this year, and it's quite exciting. So what Ken went over with the Scan Trusted Factory program came from a Homeland Security solicitation from their innovation group on preventing forgery and counterfeiting of certificates and licenses. And again, what we're about at BSI is bringing trust to untrusted systems. Hopefully you get that theme when I'm all done here today. But what we've been able to do with this is actually bring trust to these factory programs on very important matters of supply chain security, counterterrorism programs, post 9/11 programs that date back to 2001. And we were a finalist in this. We did not win it, but we felt it was such a good idea, we went ahead and built it anyway. And what it allows us to do is to neutrally, and in the GS1 format, go ahead and obviously demonstrate who in the supply chain is certified or not, providing that digital trust. And originally or initially, it's associated with the factory itself, but in the future, it could be associated to products, could be associated to transparency of goods in the supply chain. And I think that's absolutely where we're heading. So it avoids the human errors that we see quite commonly there. And really, I think what it did for Scan is it demonstrated their ability to pioneer and to be visionary and in a very untrusted world of supply chain and procurement. So we went forward with that. Ken and I actually presented this in Washington, D.C., along with Dave Blackerby, and we believe it is a very, very good use case. But Trusted Bytes was another opportunity that came from another government innovation solicitation, the Borders Custom Risk Management Program through Innovate UK. We are awarded this with a number of other agencies to where an AEO is an authorized economic operator, somebody that has been certified to trade facilitation, financial integrity, and you can also extend that to security. So what this allows us to do is to demonstrate the credentials, again, via blockchain, but getting down to, I'd say, the next level, not just is a factory certified, but what is the factory putting into the supply chain, and what does that look like from a certification, from a transparency, and from a trust perspective. So we have the AEO client, which would be the different factories throughout the European Union or globally, and then our customs, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs risk analysts that are working in this database to go ahead and understand what's in the supply chain and what it looks like. And again, we're using the decentralized knowledge graph to go ahead and take those different data silos to string those together to tell that story. So we do take AEO compliance data and we put that into the knowledge graph, and that is via a self-assessment. We've got documentation on corrective actions, and then the certificates or the credentials that actual factory or that supplier has been certified to. The geographical risk data that Ken talked about in the scan use case, we also use that here from an authorized economic operator program and something that BSI is known for. It's the largest supply chain risk management and intelligence software in the globe. And so what we do is we take that certification and we look at the risk associated with compliance and we overlay that with geographical risk threats and indicators that we track around the globe, including food safety scores, because primarily what this use case is about is food going from Southern Europe into the United Kingdom. And so we're using it to track a couple different things, including risk. Inspection data goes into the graph as well. So factory and warehouse audits, supplier audits, truck, trailer, container information. So we could provide that chain of custody and the traceability. And lastly, some of the shipment level data. All of this goes into a solution that Ken discussed, Supplier Compliance Manager, which has been rebranded to Connect Screen.
So I will pause here and say, remember we talked about SCM being switched into something else? Well, this is what it has been rebranded as. So the SCM solution is now BSI Connect Screen, which we know and previously discussed is now the foundation of BSI's system and is built utilizing OriginTrail as a decentralized data management hub. Of pharmaceutical industry in 2019. So once again, we see them talking about the data management hub, and I just want to read this part here because you guys should really go read this yourself. It says BSI, supported by strategic partner Trace Labs, also implemented a data management hub based on the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph. The data management hub that we spoke about earlier is based on the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph, and it's underlying.
This is a solution. It's the largest supply chain security and compliance software in the world. And with that, we're actually tracking different compliance indicators through there. So all of this goes in there. We crunch it into the knowledge graph. It's blockchained, and it's actually formatted. This is what some of the screenshots look like of that. But on a permission perspective, some of the customs agents would have access to this information, or the AEO client would probably have a broader level of access to it. And in the scan use case, we're sharing 10 data elements. In this use case, it's actually a bit more. So you can see there that you've got the AEO client overview and what they're sharing, the food retailer. And what we're doing is we're providing transparency of different critical elements that are used from a targeting perspective to determine which containers to inspect. Typically, customs, regardless of the country that you have, be it containerized goods, be it truck traffic, be it rail coming into the country, have resources to inspect typically less than 2% of those containers. So what you want is smart targeting associated with it. Where are my high-risk containers? Where's contraband likely to go in? Can I trust this container? And the approach that the UK as well as the US and several governments use is this force multiplier approach. So how can I have the trade community help us secure and provide transparency to what's coming into the supply chain, so therefore I don't have to inspect that container? And that's the whole benefit of having an AEO certification, having a CTPAT certification, is you will have reduced targeting, you will have reduced supply chain disruption, you'll have a faster throughput time associated with it. So what we're doing is we're providing different level information in terms of shipment status. And where the IoT devices come in is you can actually see real-time chain of custody. And with food shipments or fruit and vegetable, you have temperature control that you would like to know the integrity of that throughout the supply chain. With medical devices, with other types of, again, food products, if it falls below a temperature level and more importantly, probably goes up beyond a temperature control level, you would want to know that because you could have spoilage, you could have damage. So we're connecting real time to different IoT sensors to where we can show the integrity of that shipment throughout the supply chain. And not only can customs trust that, but the end consumer can trust it as well as the purchasing retailer. And again, what we do with the IoT devices, we actually show the chain of custody of this to where we can do this real time. We're connected to those different IoT devices. We can actually set an algorithm inside the shipment and inside the program itself, just to show what the level of risk is, again, from a geographical perspective, from a compliance perspective, and then from an IoT temperature perspective, or if we've had disruption or unauthorized stops in the supply chain that then would cause customs to want to actually inspect that. So again, all of this is actually entered into the blockchain to where you can actually validate that instantaneously to ensure that there's integrity to this shipment. And I think this is allowing for smarter targeting of the supply chain. And we've got other use cases where we're actually getting it down to a product level. It's quite exciting. Probably one of the most difficult things to do is track and trace and to have trust of a shipment, understand the provenance of a shipment. I believe this technology and this use case is actually allowing us to bring visibility, to bring transparency to this, and as a result, bring trust. So another quick use case that we're working on, in addition to a few of the others that we've had an opportunity to talk about today. So with that, this is that.
So they're combining their system with the decentralized knowledge graph to produce all of these amazing tools, which is why I said to you that BSI Connect Screen is not just pharmaceutical data. We are going to span across the entire globe by integrating with OriginTrail and by integrating OriginTrail with BSI. This, my friends, is OriginTrail and BSI becoming one. Revolutionary. And we have seen this because BSI is discussing their shift in their business model. They're moving more from being B2B, business to business, and reaching out even further into the consumer level. So this shift is being done, can be done, as a result of the OriginTrail decentralized network.
And so we're heavily focused on creating instruments of trust. And really, I think what it's transitioning us is from a business to business type of corporation where we would work with Fortune 500 companies, FTSE 100 companies, whatever it may be, to where we now have a product through OriginTrail that is more consumer facing, to where we provide those credentials to our direct clients, but their client is typically the end consumer or a patient. And we're providing these instruments of trust to them. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunity, a lot of excitement, and people, consumers want to trust that the sustainability claims, as an example, associated with the company are real, and can we, whitewash the greenwash and actually provide a layer of truth over that.
So in the end, we are witnessing a global shift being done on the OriginTrail, and we are all here along for the ride. I am so excited because we have not even begun to talk about the EPCIS rail data. We've been supporting all that rail data from the rail industry. We haven't begun to talk about GS1. We haven't begun to talk about further implementations with GS1 EPCIS 2.0, and most of all, I am excited to see what's going on with V6. Guys, the future is now. OriginTrail is now. I'm so excited. Are you? Let's go, guys. And of course, thank you guys for enjoying the content, the song. It was always a dream of mine to produce music. I initially wanted to be a musician, and to be able to produce it and have people vibe with my content and my music is actually I don't know, it's like a dream come true. Not a little bit, it is really a dream come true. So thank you guys for making that dream a possibility, a reality, even though it is relatively small scale. Quality over quantity. So let's go, guys.
Oh my gosh, yo. No tech, no team, no talent inside. Everybody run away from Reneme's mind. As I grab onto the mic and articulate the future. DKG coming to your life like a suitor. OT team dropping bombs like a military. Putting V-chain in the nearest cemetery. Preliminary hearings, I'm hearing my name calling. Preliminary pumping, I'm feeling a pump coming. They say fake must, A must. When you gonna drop our next video? Got me sitting